Already started.
Sounds good to me. I'm excited. So, wait, why did it mute?
And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure of riding through, or actually, the energy that surrounds us. Oh, wrong show. Oh, yeah. I was supposed to do that show last night. It got postponed due to a family emergency, so my brain's still thinking, oh, it's nighttime.
Oh
So
no.
that's going to make it a fun episode tonight. But with that
It's
being said, I have an amazing guest for you all. I'm super excited to talk with her, and I think you all will have a lot of fun. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my guest, the one, the only metaphysical energy extraordinaire, Seraphina Kachina.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. It's like my favorite thing to talk about.
Well, for those who may not be familiar, could you give a little bit of background as to who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So, I am a Reiki master as well as an intuitive. I basically do energy healing as well as like oracle card readings, intuitive readings, candle magic type stuff. I've basically done research on, like, I guess the unseen world since I could do research. It's my favorite thing in the world. Yeah, and outside of that, I'm a hairstylist, a cleaning lady, and I wear a lot of hats.
Well, that's really incredible. And being a Reiki master too, I understand what goes into that. And
Hell yeah.
which Reiki did you decide to go into?
So it's just a traditional. I don't ever say it right. Usui, Reiki. It basically just the very traditional teachings, but I've kind of morphed it into my own version of energy healing, where I'll include some symbols that I've, I guess, channeled through light languages that I've received. That is very new, but it's starting. Trying to figure out like what kind of effects those have, and then I also incorporate some kind of like shamanic um, style things in there as well, including crystal usage, a lot of very intuitive um, channeling of like their higher self, and then their higher self will tell me what they need to have done. I don't really follow the traditional framework of placing hands like in specific areas for specific amounts of time. I just kind of go by what the person's energy is telling me to do. So, yeah, that's kind of my own version. No two sessions are alike.
I can attest to that. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so, what made you get into Reiki?
So okay. Like I said, as far back as I can remember, I've been very interested in not only like the paranormal, but also like just like medical stuff and all that going in together. I discovered Reiki pretty early on. Um, but the first instance was really, I was just sitting on the school bus as a child, and I remember having like major headaches because I was overstimulated by the noise, and I would feel that, and then I would, I guess, instinctively just kind of like breathe into it and try to like move it out of my system, and I was able to feel the energy in my hands. And I remember talking to my grandma about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, like we had, you know, your great 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 grandma was like a hands-on healer at church, so that's kind of where it started."
Oh, that's really cool. And it's cool that you were able to talk with people about it, while growing up, because a lot of people didn't have that opportunity.
Very true. I mean, it was kind of in and out with my family because they were very Christian, which obviously nothing wrong with that, whatever. But it doesn't always lend to, you know, the energy work side of things, even though that's what Jesus was doing the whole time. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, did Reiki kind of bring you into being able to communicate with the ghost and extra dimensionals, or how did that all unfold?
So I would say, honestly, I was seeing them. I was seeing like things that other people weren't seeing, or that. So my mom and my grandma, on my mom's side, always very incredibly intuitive. My mom's, she can remote view and things like that. She always has been able to. So I was introduced to that kind of thing pretty early. And I remember, I'm sorry about the cicadas. I remember, you know, talking to her about that kind of stuff, watching a lot of uh, paranormal type stuff when I was young. And I guess because I was able to see it, but I wasn't sure what to do about it. So I started doing research into that. I wasn't communicating with them at that point. It was more of just like seeing it and being like, oh my God, that's terrifying, you know? But so Reiki came a little bit later, but it was definitely like, I guess, a gateway into knowing that communicating with things like that isn't always a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And Iron Bears talking about the cicadas, saying it's that time of year. It gets
Yeah.
hotter, they get louder, and that
And they,
is very true where we live.
yeah, it's crazy how loud they can get. Really, it's kind
I
of
know.
deafening.
We have soundproof windows, and I can hear them sometimes through the windows, and I'm like, I am so glad I'm not outside right now.
For real, it's like, I don't know, eardrum busting.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Having like your mom and grandmother doing what they were doing, and kind of molding you along the way. Do you think that kind of helped open you up and kind of helped draw you into the paranormal and everything? Or do you feel like, oh, you were already in it? They just kind of helped you understand it?
I feel like I was definitely already in it. The only reason I really found out anything about them knowing about it is because I was so freaked out. You know, like I was like, Mom, I saw a little girl in my room type shit. And she was just like, oh, yeah, like that exists, you know? And so I was like, oh my God. So I was just like freaking haunting in Connecticut, like marathons and like stuff like that, you know? And then, like I said, I grew up pretty religious. So, um, talking about it with my grandma, she was a lot more religious than my mom. She would kind of just tell me to like ignore it, and you should no, just pray, you know. So, but I would say they definitely opened my eyes up to it more so than when I first started experiencing it.
So was the little girl the first spirit that you saw, or was there something that, or was it like a family member that came first?
Let's see. So I'm trying to think when my first experience seeing something like that was. I was probably I was probably in junior high. I remember living in this house out in the country, on like kind of Native American burial grounds type land. And yeah, I would say she's definitely the first one that I saw. And I mean, I had seen, I guess, like orbs and, like shadowy kind of stuff before that, but that was the first one that I was like, oh my God, like I can't make that up, like that's not just my eyes playing tricks on me. And she would always show up in the bathroom while I'd be like taking a shower. And I was like, what's this kid doing here? And like, this is a little graphic trigger warning on some gore, but she had like a broken neck, like it was like fucked up. And if she wasn't there, there would be a cowboy. And I was like, okay, like that seems like something happened. You know what I mean? Like back then.
Right.
So that was really interesting. I've seen a million things since, and especially now that I know, it's real. And I think when your perception is opened like that, they know, because they communicate telepathically. So it's just all the time now.
Do you think the little girl and the cowboy were connected or two separates?
I feel like they had to be. I don't know if their stories were connected. I kind of got that feeling, like I guess vibe wise, but it also was land that a lot of things had probably happened on. So they may have been completely separate, but just kind of locked within the same vicinity, Um, because from what I've seen, I've been listening to a podcast about ghosts that's actually based in Austin. And there's a psychic on there, and she's talking about, like, going through the places. This ghost is here, this is what they do. She's always right. It's crazy. And there was an episode where she's talking about how there was this dark energy in somebody's home. And like just through the experience over the next couple of episodes, they found out that it was just a guy. And he was like latched onto this woman because he had a crush on her, but he was mad because she was married. And so he was appearing as this like really dark energy. And I was like, wow, that's insane. So just going through that, she was talking about how some spirits will just like attach themselves to people, places, or things. And, wherever that is, like, that's kind of where they roam. And they can come into a house off the street. So you never know, like, where it came
Right.
from. It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
It's kind of interesting. You talk about like the storyline of guy liked girl, but girl was married, and I'm like, I have heard that lately so many times, and I'm like, and I start to look at it and going, what, and then I realized, well, back though in the 1800s, a lot of towns would be mainly men with a few women, so yeah, they would latch on to
That makes
married
sense.
women because they're the only ones there.
They were the ones that were outside your window at night throwing rocks at it. They're like, this isn't wrong. Like I gotta get this girl.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. I almost wanted to make the joke of, yeah, it's that age old tale: boy meets girl, girl meets boy, girl is married, boy pursues girl,
That's a whole
girl
thing.
dies, guy dies. They still pursue each other.
Oh God, can you imagine just being locked into that? Either side, just a disappointment. Like you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so. Okay,
No,
you said you were, and I'm sorry. I want to know about your Reiki background. I don't.
So I studied Reiki when I was probably not even a teenager yet, or maybe preteen. And I did Reiki 1, and I got the symbols, and the people that were teaching it stopped behind me and were like, "Oh, you're a natural," and still did the symbols. And so I was like, "Well, there's no point in pursuing this any further if I'm a natural. Don't need to learn anything."
That's fair. I mean, I believe that. It's
Yeah,
in there. Hmm.
but it made sense because I just remembered recently when I would be in class in elementary school before we start. Like if somebody had a headache, I would go like this, and
Yeah.
when I took my hands out, they'd be like, "Your headache's gone. The headache's gone." And I'm like, "I don't know what I was doing."
You
But
did,
then
though.
I learned, yeah, then I learned it's called Reiki.
Hmm.
And then when I was in my 20s, I redid Reiki 1 with a friend named Neil, and he taught me Reiki 1, 2, 3, and Master. And the difference was his when we would be working on someone, and I'm a little dyslexic, so if I get this wrong, please correct me. Left side, if there was a blockage there, that was masculine, and so that could be on the father's side.
I thought
And
left
we
was
would try and, huh?
so I thought left was feminine.
Well, like I said, I'm dyslexic, so I could have it
Now
backwards.
I'm questioning it.
So,
But no,
okay,
yeah.
we'll just say left is feminine then. So then he taught us, okay, so it's mother's side, and we would try to communicate with it or get a message from it or a message from who is the cause of this blockage. Like if it's something that the mom did, okay, we try to get a message from mom to help clear the blockage
Hmm.
and use the energy to push it through. Then if it was on the other side, it was like, yeah, we do the same thing except dad's side. Or if there's a male energy,
Hmm.
we would talk
Okay.
to the energy. And so I learned how to channel and Reiki at the same time. And that I think was like a blessing because it opened me up to a whole lot more. And I had a bigger understanding of what I was looking at instead of just saying, oh, there's a blockage here. Let's use the energy to push it through. Well, that's great, but we didn't clear what caused the blockage, so it'll just come back
Exactly.
now
It's
that
like
I
a
think about
circle.
it. And it's like, yeah,
Wow. That's really cool to like talk to it specifically, like and
uh oh, seem to have a glitch. Let's see. But I think she might be coming back. But Reiki is a really great tool. If you ever get the chance to experience it, it is a great way to get blockages to be removed. So if you have like a chronic pain, instead of going the medical route, if it's not working, try Reiki. And I think we're going to get her back. There she is. Let's see. Is she back or is she not able to hear me now? I think she's muted somehow. Oh, well, we'll see if she backs out and comes back in, but If you have any questions for me or Seraphina, please, put them in the chat room and we'll get to them as they come in. And thank you all for joining us at this earlier than normal hour. I know we're used to doing it at 9 o'clock, so thank you all.
So sorry about that. I don't know. I got a phone call and it ruined everything. I'm so sorry.
Ah, yes,
My bad.
that's a common thing with on the cell phones. I've noticed.
Yeah, I gotta figure out where my laptop is. Everything's a freaking mess. My bad.
Oh, you're fine. It happens, and so with you know Reiki, when you were learning Reiki, and every did you ever, as a kid, have experiences of seeing things, or did that all start later in life?
As far as like during the Reiki, I wasn't seeing anything then that I remember. Um, a lot of my a lot of my current like stuff that I can see has like it feels like it's really amped up. And you know what? Actually, I for sure remember being. I think I was probably in fifth grade. Not come to think of it, fifth or sixth grade when I first started doing the kind of like energy feeling and all that kind of stuff. And I definitely have always been able to see, like, you know how people say visual snow syndrome? I've always
Right.
had that, but I never knew what it was. So I guess back then I didn't really know to, pay attention to it. I'm a little bit, mm, I don't want to say like floaty and like I don't pay attention to things, but that's kind of me. Like so if I did back then, I know it was just like the kind of energy balls you see all the different little atomy things, in the sky, but I never auras back then or anything like that.
So, what impact did that have on you growing up? Having that, seeing all of that while other kids, obviously probably never could.
I remember trying to talk to some friends about it when I realized, like, when I started watching all the ghost stuff, and I was like, I can do that. I remember talking to friends about it, and they were like, "You're lying," like that's a lie. And I was like, "No, I swear." But my mom believed me, so that was really helpful in that situation. Um, I will also say that as far as being able to see energy, I guess I didn't really know that wasn't normal until about, I'm going to be honest, probably like 4 years ago. I didn't recognize what I was seeing as energy until I was listening to, I think it was an episode on the Gaia Consciousness podcast, and this lady was talking about it, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, that's what that is. And then so it was really interesting to have that light shed on it because I thought it was normal.
No, that totally makes sense because, if when we think about it, if nobody tells you otherwise, you think this is normal and everybody can.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the interesting thing too about a lot of energy workers that are open is if nobody contradicts, you just open and keep growing. But a lot of people were told no, so
Mm-hmm.
they turned it off and now they're turning it back on, so to speak, and having to retrain it. So kind of got the edge on them of you never had to restart it.
In a way, like I said, my mom was kind of in and out of it. She's I don't want to say she's a crazy person, but she's a little bit of a crazy person, and she's like really struggled with, you know, um, kind of being in and out of her faith based on what her parents wanted for her and all that kind of stuff. So it would be like one day, oh yeah, that exists and I can see it too. And the next day it's like, no, you ignore all that. That's like demonic, like blah blah blah, like shut that off, don't talk about it, don't think about it. So it was very it was kind of confusing. And then for a while, I guess I didn't pay attention to it for a long time. And then right around 25 was when I started getting into paying attention to that stuff again. Because I had had a client, I do, hair and everything. I had had a client and she was talking to me about Reiki, and she's just like, hey, so I do this. And I was like, I've heard of it, I'm interested in it, but I don't know how real it is. And she's like, no, I'm self taught. Like, I can show you something that'll make you believe. And I was like, okay. So she says, here, put your hand above my hand. And I'm like, she's at the shampoo bowl. And she's like, here, just put your hand about an inch above mine. I'm like, okay. So I do. And the longer I hold it there, I'm getting this like fluttering feeling in my chest. Like, it's just like freaking going crazy, like vibrating. And I was like, ugh, after a while, because it like really it got strong. And I was like, what did you just do? And she's like, that's Reiki. She was like, it's energy. And I was like, oh my God. So that's when I like really kind of stepped into it. I was like, that can't be
Yeah.
fake. I felt that. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
I know what she was talking about. What she was doing is I do that a lot too. If I It's like a energy battery almost. It's if needing energy or just needing to show, you can put your hands close together. And one of the exercises I was taught by my parents growing up is, you start like this, and
Mm-hmm.
when you start to feel it really intense, you can start pulling it away. And then when you get to the point where you're like, let's say, oh, I don't feel it now, you go back in a little bit, you're like, okay, I feel it. That's the energy field right there.
Absolutely.
And
And it's
so
cool. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
I was gonna say the wider you can make it, it's up to you. But it's like, yeah, I know some people, like, I can feel it here, both ends of the screen, but does it make, the energy more intense having a bigger field? Not really.
Yeah.
But the important thing with Reiki, though, that I think a lot of people have a misnomer of is, and I hope this, you're not in this category, but they feel the energy within themselves and go, okay, this is the energy that's going to heal this person, and starts working on them. And I'm like, no, you are a conduit. You need to pull the universal energy in to do the work,
Yeah. Because
because you will not last long using
yeah.
your own.
Absolutely. I found out that I think it was I can't remember where I found it. It was somewhere online, but they said that people who do energy work can sometimes, well, a lot of the time, live a lot less time. And I remember going to this lady for a massage, and my mom had said she used to do Reiki. So I asked her about it. I was like, hey, like, what was that like for you? She's like, I stopped because I could feel myself just like wilting. She was like, I couldn't figure out how to change that. She was like, I was just giving my energy away. And I was like, well, that's terrifying. So I try really hard to, like think about that flow, but it's not so easy to do in the beginning when you want to help people.
Yeah, I feel like that should be like a poster for what not to do when you go to like a Reiki learning class. Is don't use your energy or you'll start to feel yourself wilting away. Be
Yes,
like
like
a
you will be this flower.
mental picture that you could just sit there and go, yes, that is not going to be me. I am totally not going to fall into that. And it's
Exactly.
like a mental reinforcement of, no, we're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, you need to be like one of those joke cups that has a little hole at the top,
Yeah,
and whenever that energy can't get lower than this is your energy. You just let that trickle, you know,
yeah.
or you know, a freaking waterfall. You know that shit gets crazy, of course. But um, I am okay. Tell me what your opinion is on this. This is something that I have been battling with as far as Reiki goes, and my opinion is that when you are an energy healer, you should definitely keep yourself like as healthy as you can, right? But I love cigarettes. Do you think that matters? What's your opinion?
Well, I mean, yes and no, and I hate to answer it that way because I'm like that sounds so wishy washy, but
No, that's how I feel too.
it's so the answer. So I would say no because you are putting chemicals in the body, and the body is taking a toll and is weakening because of that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, though, the energy runs by intention, and so your intention keeps it from being through the body, so the body really doesn't affect the energy.
True. I think the biggest thing that makes me feel like maybe it's not such a good idea is just be the amount of energy maybe that you'd be able to channel if your body's not in tip top like shape because breathing's so important. Like I'm over here like when I go up the stairs sometimes it's
Yeah.
I'm working on it, you know. Been in a really dark place here lately. So cigarettes are a good comfort. And they're also great to make yourself take a break when you're working too hard. But definitely not good for you and keeping your your little fucking flower from wilting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one thing I could suggest what you can do is if you're only doing that to kind of take a break and just like comfort,
Hmm.
find out, do you get the same comfort by walking outside? And if you do,
Do that.
instead of one, you replace it with the other and you just,
Actually, take
you
a
know,
break, get some sunlight. Oh
well,
no!
sunlight is important. I will say that, for energy and for the body.
Absolutely,
But,
I agree.
um,
Hard to get it in Texas though; it's so hot.
well, we just get it more intense. So, where some people need to be out all day, we can get it in 5 minutes.
No kidding. It's like a blast from the oven or the sun, which is so powerful and great. But God,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny because I will go some places and I'll be walking outside during the day and I'm like, the sun's out and I'm like, cool. And then I'll be home and then I go outside and I'm like, gotta grab the sunglasses. Gotta at least have the sunglasses on so I can see where I'm going because the
Mm-hmm.
sun just feels so much brighter and hotter here.
Yes. And do you feel like that's more so the case within the last few years? Because I do.
I do.
Yeah, that climate change, you know, it's happening. I feel like though, from what I've like witnessed about that, is that it's just, I mean, like everything else in the world, it seems to be a cycle where it's kind of changing a little bit, moving over. And I think eventually it'll probably be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just
I
won't.
mean, I look at it and like, so I actually was on a panel discussion and we were talking about, some stuff and, you know, like the purpose of mankind came up and we were like, talking about it and somebody goes, "Well, we're here to take care of this planet." And I was like, "No, no we're not." And
You're like,
We're
that's
not the
only.
caretakers of this planet. And I said, look, let's, let me show you why I say this. When we were in the lockdowns in 2020, what happened to the polluted canals of Venice? They cleared up.
Yep.
They
Quickly.
cleaned themselves.
Yes.
What
Oh,
happened to a lot of the places where things were really, bad? They cleaned themselves up. Nature can take care of herself.
mm-hmm.
Gaia will heal herself. We don't need to interfere. We just need to take care of ourselves while we're here. That's our
Very.
purpose. And so I always find it kind of funny when I hear people say, oh, well, we need to save the planet from this or that. And I'm like, you do realize this planet is going to outlive us all, and she is self regenerating. We don't do anything to her that's beyond repair until we reach the point like we cause her to explode. In which case, yeah, then we kind of went too far.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that would not be reparable. But
Yeah,
I agree with you actually. Like that's a good point to make, and I think also it's really important. Like over and over has been shown to me that if we take care of ourselves, then that's how we take care of everything else. Because it's like cells in the body. If the cells in the body that we're supposed to go and like plug up a cut, we're like, oh shit, the lungs need help.
yeah,
The cut wouldn't get plugged up. So, yeah.
yeah. And the interesting thing is, I know I can hear people's voices in my head going, well, if we're not doing anything, then we can do whatever we want on the planet and it'll regenerate. That's true to a point, but I'm not saying we need to go start dumping chemicals in water or start like driving vehicles more and more and, drilling into the ground more for more things and leave scars all over the planet, because I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we don't need to like stop everything we're doing until she recovers. It's like she'll recover when we're gone from what we've already done, so we don't have to worry about our carbon footprint so much as people want to say, because our carbon footprint actually, I think, is actually helping the planet.
In a way, I guess, like helping it to continue to adapt and grow and like be able to handle those kinds of things. Or how do you mean?
Well, because I was listening to a program and they pointed out something interesting, that carbon exists on this planet. And we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. We're carbon based beings. And so we need carbon. The planet gives off carbon, so it needs carbon to give it off. So, therefore, if we stop our carbon footprint, then we're robbing the planet of something it actually needs. And it's not the detriment that, scientists say it is, in my opinion. It's, again, I'm not saying, go and, as your footprint be like, dig a hole 5 miles deep in your backyard and, mine out, all the resources in it and, then start another one. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is, if you need something, you live off the land, you live off of what's on the land.
Mhm.
And as long as you don't go to excess, the planet balances itself out and we're all in balance.
But
When
take what
we,
you need.
it's when we go into excess, that's where the problem comes in.
Definitely. And I feel like you're super right about that. And there are some areas that are absolutely excessively using resources, but then there are some places that aren't at all. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It all balances out. Everything's about balance. And that,
Well, but I mean, if we look at, say, like the Amazon River forest area, yes, there's jungle all over the place and nobody is there. And so you could say that's an untapped resource. No, it actually is a tapped resource because we're using it, one, for oxygen, two, life is existing there, that, that's their home. We go in there and we start terraforming it. We're, destroying an ecosystem, and those are there for reasons. It's like the Amazon is designed the way it is for a reason. The Mississippi is designed the way it is for a reason. As much as we like to think we're in control of it and, we can keep it from flooding, it's going to flood. It's what it needs to do. That's what it does. And so
it's a natural process.
it's not a question of needing to go and, stop nature. No, it's a instead of stopping nature, what we do is acclimate to nature. And so if we are in the flood zone, of the Mississippi, build yourself higher than normal.
Yeah.
Build yourself above where the flood waters go. Or if you're going to be in the floodplain, build yourself a way where, the water can go around the house, or maybe do like a multi-level house and do the garage as the bottom and just gets hit and the rest of the house is okay. But there are things we can do, is what I'm saying, is to
Like work
adapt
with.
to the conditions instead of building smack dab in a floodplain, and then when the flood comes, going, oh my god, my house is destroyed. It's like, well, no kidding, Sherlock, you're in a flood zone.
What'd you expect?
Yeah, I'm like, we know the Mississippi floods, so building a house in in the flood zone makes no sense.
Very true.
And
Yeah, it's
so,
like, let's stop trying to change things and realize that the way that they were is like how it should be, as far as like natural processes, like creating, like things get created and then destroyed in order to make way for like new life, and we
yeah,
shouldn't try to disrupt that, right?
I mean, and if we are going to do something with the Mississippi, I highly suggest talking to the Egyptians, because they knew how to move the Nile to fit their needs without destroying the Nile. And so, yes, that is a known fact. The Nile as we know it today is not the Nile of ancient Egypt. They've actually, at one point in ancient times, moved the river over so they could build a temple.
I love that. Like, that's fucking amazing. Did they just like dig it, like kind of just
That's the thing.
scoot
Nobody
it
knows how they really moved it, but
over? Ooh,
the Nile River used to end in Cairo at the Giza Plateau, and that's why there are like boat knockers right in front of the Sphinx, which is right in front of the Giza Plateau. Is it was designed to be the coastal point, but then they moved the Nile, and so the water stopped flowing there and went somewhere else. And so that's the thing, is how they did it. I don't know, because we try to move rivers today and all kinds of problems come up. And
probably because we as a people have so many more blockages and like issues with the energy flow within ourselves, and they were so much more like attuned to nature and how we mirror like what is in that. Like I
well,
think.
I think so, and I kind of curious your thoughts because you deal with chakras and everything. What about the thoughts of like the Nile has temples that are for each of the chakras? There's like a temple that's specific to a chakra along the Nile as you go up. And so could we say like the Mississippi, for example, has chakra points along
Absolutely.
its banks? And so by moving them, do we interfere with that energy?
I think so. Like that actually is that's so I just recently, probably within the last few months, saw something that was talking about that, like the temples and the chakra points kind of thing. It was probably sometime in spring, and I was like, "Whoa!" And I totally forgot to look into it. So I'm glad you brought that up. But I think you're right. Like every area has energy centers, and of course, if we have our chakras and energy centers, of course, like the world would like mirror that because it does everything else. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I can tell you from experience being on the Nile, yes, they do. You can tell what chakra is being activated and influenced while you're there. And
That's amazing.
as much of a desert as Egypt was, I still think Texas somewhat gets more arid heat and so feels hotter than it does there.
Wow. Uh, that's actually insane.
Yeah.
I've always thought like going to Egypt would be like, oh my God, this is going to be crazy, but it's pretty crazy here. I've heard, okay, so what is that? What is, this is sort of on the same note, but slightly different. What is your opinion on people saying that they're like, oh yeah, that was like Egypt or whatever, and like the original Jew stuff, but apparently it's here according to some people. Could it be that it is, or that every area has like their own version of that?
Are you talking about like Tennessee, Nashville being like the Jerusalem of the Middle East?
There, I don't know where I heard that it was. But is that where it's supposed to be?
That's yeah, that's what I've been told. And there is something very interesting in Nashville that I don't think a lot of people know about, and they go there all the time. My friend William Henry introduced me to it, and we would go several times. Is and point of interest, William Henry is who I went to Egypt with, so there's that connection too. But when we were in Nashville, he would take us to what's called the Bicentennial Mall. It's near the Parthenon, which has the statue of Athena in it. And it's like scaled. The Parthenon is scaled like 1/10 of the original, but it's in full everything. It has all the parts. And so it's like, wow, and you can feel the energy there. But the importance of the Bicentennial Mall is, as we were talking about like the Nile River, the temples being chakra points, this mall, when you walk these grounds, you start in an amphitheater, which is the root chakra, and you start walking, and on one side is like a bunch of trees, and there's like a couple like gaps, and it's kind of interesting, why there's these gaps every once in a while. But what you start to feel like is these gaps are the changes in the chakras. And
Mm-hmm.
this mall is a chakra, and it ends with three flagpoles in the middle of a circle. and it has the 3 stars for Nashville on it, and that is the crown chakra.
Interesting.
And if you walk the left side, like you're going up towards the crown chakra, there's a timeline of the history of the USA,
Mm.
and it has like which war was which chakra, and it maps all of our history through the chakras as well. What and it's really interesting to walk, and one of the fun little things about it is they have a giant black not obelisk, what is it, obsidian ball,
Ooh,
and carved on it is the globe,
wow.
and it sits on water, and you go up there and you look at it and you're like, man, that has gotta, that thing's gotta weigh a ton
Mm.
because it's black obsidian. You can go like this and you can start to rotate the ball because the water makes it 0 G. And so it's like no weight. It's like anti gravity almost, to where you can manipulate the globe ball and make it move any which way you want because it's on the water.
Isn't it so insane how, like, when you know how to read the language, it's everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so nuts. I'm gonna have to do some research into that because I haven't seen anything about it. I'm not gonna lie, like anything that I know is usually like just given to me in the moment. I don't do a lot of research these days on like places and things like that, but I would like to. So that's interesting. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. And it was specifically designed, the mall. And there's a shopping center just to the side of it. That's why it's called Bicentennial Mall. But the park aspect of it, and people walk it every day. And what's interesting about it is I remember one time I was walking it with William, and I was in the root chakra area by the amphitheater, and I was like, my stomach just started getting into like knots, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to have to go to the bathroom because I'm in this mall and I don't even know where the nearest bathroom is. And I was like, but you start feeling that way, and you're like, what?
Looking around.
And I cross over to the next chakra's energy zone, and it's like the stomach just went away, whatever it was. And so it's like, and I talked to him about it. He goes, yeah, you probably had, something going on that, has to do with your foundation, and, you know, had to do some work on it. And so I was like, that's a good point, because I was, coming from a place where I probably was working on something at the time. And so the body is like reacting to which energy you're in, going, hey, yeah, we need to work on this. Here we
There's
are.
a disconnect here. Like, that's so cool. Wow. I love that about like I guess recognizing what energy feels like and like listening to your body. That's so real. And I was very much aware of,
Uh-oh, I
but
think she's getting another call.
oh no, it wasn't me this time. My phone's probably getting hot. It's definitely warm out here. I'm probably gonna go inside. But yeah, it's freaking crazy. Shit.
So,
It's freaking crazy how.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask around the chakras, because you had blanked out, so I didn't realize you were talking on my end. But I was gonna ask, when you work on the chakras, do you by choice only work on the seven in the body and not the spiritual ones on the outside, or do you work on all of them?
Sorry. So okay, I actually don't, well, I do sometimes. It depends on the person. If I hear that little thing that's like, hey, go here, then I will. Like, even as far as like, so with, let's see, this one lady that I did, I don't normally, I guess it's all been kind of a learning process for me because it's still relatively new. I've only been doing Reiki on other people for about a year. But they're also like where I was living, there's no market for it. Like, people will look at your posts on Facebook where you're looking for business and they'll be like, don't go to her. She worships the devil. You know what I mean? Like, so I haven't had a whole lot of people to work on outside of, just a few here and there. But I had a lady, shit, one of my, I guess, somewhat recent, somewhat recent ones where something was like, okay, hey, try feeling, down by, like, feel her shoulders, knees, like feet, elbows, like all that extra stuff that I don't typically feel the need to go to. And I found that her energy was like really disrupted in one of her knees. And I was like, oh, do you have issues with this knee? And, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I guess since then I've been doing it a little bit more, but I don't always feel called to do it, if that makes sense. I feel like whatever is leading me, because when I first start, I'll be like, universal source of light and love, please use me as basically a conduit for your healing energy, guide me to the areas that need to be addressed. I also ask to connect with the higher self and spirit team of the person that I'm working on and have them relay information through my higher self and spirit team to use during the session. And yeah, typically I'm not told to do a lot outside of just working on specific blockages, because I think I also attract people who are experiencing specific things. I don't know, like it's not usually like a very general all around thing during my sessions. So I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. And one thing people don't realize, with energy workers, especially, I can attest to Reiki workers, is you're coming to us with a blockage in you somewhere. When we are clearing that blockage on you, we are also getting the benefit of clearing something in us as well. So it's
Yes,
like it's a double deal for us, is we get the benefit just like you're getting the benefit. So it's like the win-win scenario.
absolutely. And I think, do you feel like the people who are drawn to you during specific times, it's when you notice that same specific thing within yourself? It's almost like y'all are on that same kind of frequency, And I
Oh
don't know. I
yeah,
feel like I notice that with my people.
I do. And I kind of want to take a second, and because there's an aspect of what you do that is kind of interesting. And before I get there, my friend John is asking, if you feel pressure behind the eyes and have a slight headache, is that something or someone trying to reach out?
I wonder that myself, to be honest. I just talked to a friend about that because I've had a similar experience where it almost feels like you've got like, it is a weird kind of pressure, but it almost feels like, for me, like someone else is in there. Like, it's almost like a different energy shows up there. So maybe, like, I feel like in a way, yes. Or it could be trying to, what my friend was telling me is it could be aspects of like yourself, what you're trying to show you something. Like, and keeping the focus on your eyes and like your ocular kind of zone. Um, that would make sense to me.
And I'll just say another option for the headache could be, You got to
download.
watch the Schumann resonance because the solar storms, if they are spiking or going high numbers, I notice headaches come on to a lot of people because the energy of the planet is up. And so we're not at our normal threshold. And so that could be another option. But
Truly.
I'm curious, you talk about in your bio and the topics that we were looking at for tonight.
Mm.
You mentioned channeling through art, and I'm curious because I know some people say, "Oh, I paint what I see," or "I paint what I feel." But how does it work, like channeling art? Because I used to channel, but I'm not an artist, so I can't like put those two together. And so I'm curious how you do.
So a lot of the time when it's happening, like I won't necessarily know that's what's happening. I'm just like, okay, this is the thing that I feel like painting. And then something after the fact will be like, look into that. And I'm like, okay. And then I do. And it's something that, either me or the person who ends up getting the painting will need to see. It's pretty weird. The most recent one I've been working on, I was working on, it was kind of like a personal journey type of painting. But in the painting there's like a brain house, like it's like a little house in a desert, and it looks like a brain, and it has a couple windows, and in one of them I was like, I want to put like a little tapestry in the background of the house. I was like, what should I do? And then I see the symbol in my head and I'm like, that's what it's going to be. So I paint it, and then I hear the little voice that's like, Google that. So I was like, all right. So I put it into Chat GPT, and it's like, oh, that's an ancient Chinese oracle bone script for the word emperor or divine being. And I was like, excuse me? Like, that's crazy. Um, but in knowing the person that ended up wanting to buy this painting whenever I'm finished with it, she is not connected to her higher self as of right now. And she's going through a situation, I don't know, like with her whole life and the people that she's dealing with, like looking from the outside, it very much seems like she could use some guidance from her higher self in order to connect with herself and realize that she's putting up with things that she shouldn't be. So I feel like the reason that that symbol ended up being in there is because it's going to help her without even her realizing that it is helping to connect with that side of herself by repetitive seeing it. And I found out about that kind of thing, like I guess your ability to raise your frequency or realize unknown things by viewing specific things. Whenever I was looking into the it's called the light of Zion, like your three energy centers around your head that kind of form that halo in old school paintings of like saints. Apparently just viewing that will raise your vibration. So it's a concept that like has been happening for a long time. But I guess I just do it in however it comes in the moment.
So, not to borrow a term from Hollywood, but it's the easiest term to use. So, it's almost like you put Easter eggs in the paintings for people to discover and go on their own journey.
Basically, yeah, because my view of what being a healer is not that, oh, I'm a healer, I can help you, I can heal you, oh my god, I'm God, you know what I mean? It's more of like, let me teach you how to heal yourself, you know.
Yeah, and to anybody out there, you just made a really good point. If you
Thank you.
talk to a healer and that healer calls themselves God, I suggest turning around and walking the other way,
Absolutely.
because no true healer ever thinks of themselves as God. When I was channeling and doing Reiki, I never thought of myself as a God because I could do this. And so I caution anybody who comes across anyone who says that, trust your instincts on that. and
Straight up.
and yeah, and John's right. Jesus was a teacher, not the quote Messiah and the savior. He was teaching us how to live and how to heal and maintain ourselves and to live a good life, but it got hijacked along the way, I think.
I
That's
agree
my personal opinion.
fully. I was gonna say that, like, it was twisted, it was tweaked a little, and now it's like, oh, don't worship idols, but you're doing that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I'm so glad you bring that up, because when you look at the definition of an idol, it's like a statue. Well, what do a lot of churches have? They have statues. So
yeah.
therefore, when churches say don't worship idols, it's like, why do you have idols in your church then?
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about this, like how, in Korea they have the K-pop groups, but instead of calling them, celebrity, they call them idols.
Oh
And
yeah, same here.
people constantly go out of their way, like they will obsess over these people. They'll try to become as much like them as possible. They completely forget about who they are and the things that they need to do to connect with themselves. That to me is like an idol, as well as, like, having this statue, and like you're like, it's both, and in my opinion. And I think that's kind of another way we were led astray, is
Yeah.
by being, that's, like, don't be, I think, in a way, just as someone who, like, I'm very witchy and I do a lot of like spell work and stuff like that, nothing crazy, just like protection and like, oh, I want to have like a good career. Let me just road open, or, stuff like that. For me, that visual experience, the tangible experience of putting those things into that process, is it kind of helps it to manifest spiritually, because you have that intention of what you're physically doing, like the action will bring about that, right? So I think that more so people are worshiping idols by being obsessed with other people and making them out to be a god. And yeah, it's just, you
Mm.
fuck that, like, you're not connecting with yourself. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and what's interesting is, I mean, there's two TV shows that jump out in my head as you're talking about that, and one was American Gods,
Hmm.
and the other one, American Idol.
Yeah.
And what are we supposed to do? Oh, we're voting for who we think is going to win, and what happens when they win? Oh, we're supposed to follow their music and, keep, you know, watching them if they're on TV or on a movie or, at a concert. We're supposed to follow them and we're supposed to buy everything that they endorse and everything that they do. It's like a worship. And that's not who we are. And yeah, John's right. Any show that you vote on is pretty much, creating idols. And so, yeah.
I like the concept of voting on things. I don't like how far it goes after the fact, like you said. Like, it's, guys, don't, like, okay, I was thinking about this yesterday. Like, the people who have become so obsessed with a celebrity that'll never know who they are or care about them, that they will go to like the lengths of plastic surgery to look like them, or they'll
Oh
like
yeah.
buy done. Yeah, it's like, what are we doing, guys? That's crazy.
Well, and what's interesting too is I always find it interesting when you watch the shows like American Idol. You cast a vote. Well, then, if you spend money, you can cast more votes. And so it becomes like a rigged system of if you get
Mm.
the people who are going to throw money at you, you will totally win because nobody's
My
going to be able to
phone.
match that.
Oh no. I'm so sorry. I don't know why. Like, my phone's getting really hot and it's having a hard time.
It's
Oh
probably the tech
no.
heat.
Did we fix it? No.
Well, the screen looks a little different.
I'm so sorry. I can't hear you. What is happening?
Maybe
God.
if you rotate it, see it that
Is that
there,
working? Is it
you're
working?
back.
Ah, okay. I think we're getting there. Sorry about that. I don't have my
No,
Wi Fi set up yet, so I'm just kind of phoning it up.
yeah, but I
Wait,
mean,
I
yeah,
can't hear you.
same thing in sports.
Let's do it again.
Can Can you hear me now?
Oh my God, the sound's off. I don't know what's happening. I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I might have to get off of here and get back on again. Uno momento.
okay, and so yeah, I mean, it's we talk about celebrities and yes, John Iron Bear 1978 points out sports, and it's the same thing. We're shown athletes who make millions of dollars can go broke and they have all these endorsement deals and do whatever they want, and we're supposed to just be okay with that and idolize them, and that's not what's going on and what's supposed to be.
Yeah, I lost you there for quite a bit. I apologize. I don't know what's
No,
going on.
you're fine. Can you hear now?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay. Just to catch you up, I was just following up with something that my friend John said about sports athletes too. And yeah, we idolize the athletes and the music people and the actors in Hollywood. And so that's where everything's gone awry is we are doing the one thing we're not supposed to do. We're worshiping idols
Mm-hmm.
without knowing we're worshiping idols.
Absolutely. It's. I think people like are super getting it wrong by doing that. Like, looking at these people and thinking like, okay, I'm gonna, because I don't like who I am. I don't want to look at who I am. I'm gonna try and be like them. But what they should be doing is seeing these people being, authentic and being themselves, and like how big they can get and how far they can go by doing that. And choose to do that themselves instead of like, oh well, let me just copy that, because that's crazy. That's like not what the point is, I don't think. I mean, it is the point, like, within the matrix, but like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
should be the point, like, take what you see and like, and make your own version of it and grow yourself.
Yeah, and what's funny is there's a paranormal term for that. It's
What
called
is it?
mimicry. And
Oh yeah.
the
Yes.
mimics are like, oh man, it's yeah. Stay away from mimics, people. Don't cross paths with those.
That's like the last thing you want to do. Like,
Yeah,
oh, so on that subject, what you know what the ancient Egyptians thought of doppelgangers or like Ka, as they would say. Um, they used to say that if you met your doppelganger, it was like a really bad thing. Um, well, I guess no, that's what everyone else says. They talked about Ka as being your higher self, which is your doppelganger, and if you met them in real life, that's like a bad thing. So what do you think about that? Have you ever had an experience like that?
funny you should say that. So let me set the story real quick for this. Is my mom had hurt her shoulder, so I had to go to the store to pick up some clothes that she had ordered. Well, I've gone there several times with her because of her shoulder, and so they all knew me. And I walk in the door, and they all look at me and they go, "Oh, you're back already?" And I go, "I just got here." And they go, "No, you were literally here like 10 minutes ago." I was like, "I kid you not. I'm just walking in the door right now." And they're like, "Well, then your doppelganger was here because somebody who looked just like you
Oh
was
my god.
here not but 10 minutes ago." And I was like, "Ooh, how,
Who, what, when, where, why?
it's like to think, and you that's the thing though, with the doppelgangers is we think, oh, either the universe is going to implode or something bad is going to happen. But in reality, we don't know what's going to happen if we ever met ourselves. And the wild thing is to even try to fathom what you would do if you walked into a store and you like went and became face to face with yourself. It's like that's even wild to think about, and it's like, we could talk all day about, oh, this or that, but the deep down reality is we don't know what would
Oh,
happen. We
shit.
don't know, you know if
I
that,
will tell you.
there's a reason for that.
So yesterday, I actually had, sorry, a similar experience to what you just said. It's crazy, but so I was walking into a gas station and some like random, I think, where was it? Somewhere in Texas. Shit, I don't know. I had to get a padlock for my U-Haul. So I walk in to this gas station. I was getting gas. I walked into the gas station. I was like, I kind of got to pee. I'm walking out of the bathroom, go around the corner. And right as I go around the corner, a girl that was the same height as me, same hair color, dressed similar to me, her face looked like mine. Literally, she was like almost like me, but think very like cleanly dressed. But we looked exactly the same. And when she came around the corner, we almost ran into each other. And we both go, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Exactly the same way. And then we laughed the same. And I was like, "I gotta get the fuck out of here." Like, it was so strange because like so rarely do I meet people that I'm like, "Oh, that person looks like me," because I don't know, I guess it just doesn't happen very often. And I was like, did that is this real life? It was like a really weird situation. I was thinking about it all day and I still am, I guess. So maybe that's what you would do. I don't know. It depends on the interaction. But it was strange. It was very strange.
Well, what
Huh.
comes to mind to me is because you said like the only difference was like she's cleanly dressed, as you put it, versus you. And so I
It's
started
like parallel
thinking,
universe.
yeah, an alternate timeline, you
Hmm.
is walking here, and you guys crossed paths, and it was one of those like probably like a fixed moment in time, as they call them, and went on and had the moment, and so you got a chance to see what you would look like, and she got a chance to see what she could look like.
It was so
But
crazy.
yeah,
She literally, like the way she was dressed, exactly like my mom. And my mom's very, she's like very, she dresses pretty youthful, like a lot of, I don't know, just like plain, but like expensive.
yeah,
She was dressed exactly like my mom would, or like I would have had I followed in my mom's footsteps, like more so. And that was really interesting. So I could see that being that, like, that's alternate timeline
yeah,
Seraphina before. Yeah, it was so crazy. Wow.
because
Huh.
I mean, the fact that you said you laugh a lot alike, you had the
Literally same
same
hand.
mannerism,
It was so
you
crazy.
know, everything, you know, virtually, you know, the only thing difference was the clothing. That, you know, that's too much coincidental to be anything but.
I
And so I would
swear.
have to say, yeah, that literally was you, another you. And because as much as we talk about, like, you know, someone looks like you, yeah, they can look like you, but they can't emulate you. Like, they won't have the same timing, the same mannerism. There'll be
It was so,
something that's always a little off. But when you're, you know, sharing yours, I was like, there was no little off. Everything, all those minute details were like synchronistic. And so, wow.
it was crazy. Like, and I remember, like, I was about to leave. I'd pumped my gas and stuff, and she was coming out, and we definitely stared at each other for a second while she was walking towards like where my car was. We were like, wait. So I was
Oh,
like,
that'd
she
be
felt
even
it too.
more wild
Like,
if she had the
I
same
was like,
car as you.
I didn't see what she was getting into. I think it was like an SUV. It was like totally different, but I was like, what the fuck? That was nuts.
Yeah.
I
John, yeah, John is in the chat room sharing with us. I got visited at work once. Whole place went white. Talked to this old guy about a truck he wanted to buy. Next thing I know, I'm back inside and asking everyone where this old man went. Weirdest thing. And he said it wasn't a normal customer. It wasn't an old guy. Pretty sure it was. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And he's not sure on the spelling of it, but yeah. And so I would say, John, the point that's interesting is you say everything whited out and this old guy came. I would say chances are you had an encounter with, oh, a type of gray. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I
mm,
know who you're talking about. And yeah, I don't know the spelling either, John, so don't feel bad about that. But I think you got visited by a being, dimensional being, because it would make sense that their light like whited out everything else and only you saw and interacted. So that's
that's like
kind of a cool.
pocket dimension type
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's super cool. Wow.
I,
Did like what kind of car was he asking about though?
you know, I'm finding it interesting. You're wanting to know what car he's wanting to get, and I'm sitting here thinking, where is this store that you're working at? Because we could
Yeah.
all go hang out there and see if he comes back.
Ooh, that'd
Oh,
be
it was a
interesting. Do like
Tacoma.
one of the CE5 things. A
Yeah,
Tacoma. Hmm. Yeah, I'm like
Tacoma.
I it
Those are
makes
trucks, aren't they? Or
yeah, they're like
SUV?
little trucks. They're really nice. Actually would love to have one of those. But it makes me okay. So the reason I asked about what kind of vehicle it was is because like instantly what my brain thought of was potentially it being like a could have maybe even been like part of your spirit team or a past loved one that maybe you didn't know and they were trying to give you a clue as to who they were. But I don't
That's
really
very
see how that would
possible.
fit.
Well, the thing is, spirits don't always appear as we would expect them to. Like, grandma can appear in her 20s to someone and relay a message to you,
Mhm.
and you're like, Grandma, you were in your 80s, I don't know what you look like in your 20s, but they're like, hey, the 20s were my favorite time of year, so that's what I'm going to make myself look like now. And so, yeah,
It's
he
so
said,
wonderful.
possibly, but it didn't have any normal ears. Well, that,
Hmm.
that, I don't like the word normal because
Me neither.
that all depends on, perceptions. And now that you showed those, I got to ask, how does that feel having those in there? And did it hurt putting them in?
The dopest. It's like such a like good stimming activity in public. You know, like when you get nervous, you just feel like, ooh. It's really dope. I love them. It was a long process of like when I first started, you have to get like little bitty earring sized, and then you slowly just shove like a slightly bigger one in there every time. And then eventually it gets to the point where they're big enough that you can put like tape around them. And so that is way more, I don't know, I guess gradual, but also less damaging to the tissue. I've had them for a long time. They're inch and a half, inch and a half. Yeah,
So is it, oh, so the lobe is actually in between. It's
yeah.
not,
Like
I
a
thought it was pushed into the lobe and the lobe just was on one side.
no, it's like here. I'll show you. Pop. Ta-da!
Wow.
It's like a rubber band. Um,
It looks
I
like
feel
that
like
would
okay.
hurt though.
Yeah, it did. I'm not gonna lie, it did. It was not a fun process, but
Yeah, because I'm like, the
okay.
earlobe was not meant to have a hole in it.
But think about this. Ancient cultures would do that kind of stuff. And I almost feel like it's part of why my clairaudience has gotten so much more powerful over the years. It makes me wonder.
Yeah.
But he said small ears. I've heard of that. Like little teeny tiny ears, like maybe like this size, like were they pointy? Because I feel like I've read that somewhere, like a description of something like that. Maybe it was the thing you're talking about, the type of gray with the mysterious spelling.
Yeah. He says yes. It's
Okay,
the pointy ears.
interesting. Wonder if it was like I feel like I've heard that description as far as like gins,
Oh,
even.
wait. He says not sure about pointed ears, but yeah, the size of the ears, I guess, is what he was saying yes to.
Very little guys. I'm gonna have to look into that. Hmm.
Yeah, and the problem is there's so many different. It's like we used to go like nomenclature was like Palladian, Gray, Reptilian, and now it's like, oh wait, if we mention this group, it's like which faction? There's like hundreds of
Mhm.
factions.
Yeah.
He's saying Sandia et. Look
ET.
that up. He says,
Sandia. Definitely have to check that out. Sounds interesting. I It is crazy how much like the categories have increased over the last few years, especially
Yeah,
with Pleiadians, because I didn't know. I guess like the big consensus is that Pleiadians are, tall, um, and they have like blonde hair, blue eyes, kind of thing, right?
right.
Well, I feel like the more I've looked into that, it's like, no, actually, the Pleiades is made up of those beings, like Lyrans, um, some, I think, reptilians as well, and like just from all different types. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I don't, I had no idea.
No, and what's interesting is I did look up Sandia, and apparently there is a Sandia the ET that is in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Hmm. Like one of
And
those caught, like they fucking
yep, they do say captured ET.
ain't no
And
way. Come on.
they're in the
I'll have to look
Sandia
into
mountain range.
that.
And what's interesting is when they say Sandia mountain range, I gotta laugh because Sandia is actually Spanish for watermelon. And so they're
Really?
talking about a watermelon mountain range. That's to me is kind of funny because I'm like, that's gotta be the weirdest looking mountain range ever.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay. So random do you know, okay, what do you know about like savants? This is, it sounds random, but it's going to circle back to watermelons.
So I view savants as they are operating on like another evolutionary scale almost of humans. It's like they're like a step ahead of us. And so some savants could be autistic. And my viewpoint of autism is it's they're not slow and they're
Mhm.
not like quote stupid. To me, they are actually communicating at a much different level. And so we're actually catching up to them. They're on a different wavelength than we are. And so that's where, my take on that is. And so savants, I think, are just individuals who are tapped into like an energy or a connection around them to either a specific field or to everything around them, because you can have like a computer savant, so they're tapped into the tech energy in a way that we
Mhm.
struggle to and have hyper awareness of it and can understand it. It's like they're almost communicating the binary language of tech. And, art savants or prodigies, as they call them, that are multi field, I think they're just hyper aware and connected on another level and speaking another level of language that we just struggle to comprehend.
I agree with that in a way. Listening, so the reason I brought that up is because there's this guy I was listening to talk about how he had this crazy head injury, woke up with, the ability to play instruments that he had never played before and stuff. And he's talking about how he was like, I can, like, no, wait, it was on the same episode. This guy could taste equations. Like, he was like, yeah, like the numbers have like a flavor. And he was like, or like he would also experience emotions with like looking at like a fruit or something. Like a certain fruit would like bring up all these like empathetic, like emotional feelings and like all this other stuff. It was like synesthesia. um but he was talking about how watermelon made him feel completely drained of energy, and it made him feel very sad. And that's so confusing. I don't know. I just
Well, I think I I've heard similar things like but with colors and stuff, and so like colors have energy, which means they have frequency.
Mhm.
And so when we look at it that way, that makes sense. And it's like, that's why, blue can make you feel like cold because we associate blue as the color of ice or water. And so when you are in blue light, you will start to feel cold because of the frequency that's coming through. And so it kind of makes sense with, I don't know that I've ever heard of taste associated with numbers, but kind of at the same time, though, it doesn't surprise me. And because let's look at the fact of so watermelon is kind of like associated with summer. It's like the
Mhm.
summertime fruit, we'll say. Well, people, in summer, they tend to be happy and, enjoying things. And so they eating the watermelon, it brings out the joy in them. And so watermelon could be said it has the taste of joy. Well, it's red and green, and the seeds are black or white, depending on which type of watermelon you get. So, therefore, those colors can have the feeling of joy. And so it's like it becomes this unraveled thing. And that's why I say it could make sense with numbers, is, but I don't know how to equate them to like an emotion or anything, but it kind of doesn't surprise me that, what happened. And a friend of mine, Dana, Light Talk with Dana, she's saying, hello, know a blind person who can feel the colors. Yes,
That's so cool.
that is true. Is like blue, like I was saying, blue can be, like have a cold temperature to it. Green have like a grassy grounding effect. Brown, dirt, kind of earthy feel. And so, yeah, the colors, have, different ways to determine those. And so, but I still got to go back to word numbers. Yeah, that's a new one on me, having taste.
Like, so I agree with you on the frequency of specific like colors and like fruits and stuff because of that. Because, like, as a Reiki master, like eating specific things of the color of the chakra you're trying to like balance, it'll help that. My question is, why then would watermelon make this man feel sad and drained of energy? Does that mean he has an imbalance within those chakras?
Or it could be, so let's say, something tragic happened in summertime for him. Maybe in the summer, let's hypothetically say, what's in the summer? Father's Day. Maybe he lost
Oh,
his dad in the summer. Well, now, if you're eating the summertime fruit, you could be thinking, oh, my dad. I really miss my dad. And that can make you sad. And so, therefore,
okay.
when you're eating the watermelon, you're associating it with that tragedy. And so you're like, oh, this is a sad fruit now.
I mean, I'm no stranger to trauma ruining many things, okay? But like, I feel like with this guy, it makes me wonder, okay, you saying that, people with
Yeah,
savant
summertime
syndrome,
blues.
huh?
the summertime blues. We even have music about it.
I have that for sure. Like, but I feel like with people who experience savant syndrome, when they come back from whatever tragedy that they went through or their near death experience, um, I didn't see what that said.
Oh, sorry, it was a
Um,
message to me.
Oh, okay. I feel like a lot of the time when they come back, because you were talking about like autistic people versus like savant syndrome. So, with the stuff that I've listened to, it talks about the fact that autistic people lack, or they have a difficult time connecting their left brain to their right brain. And people, but they also have like hella telepathic abilities and stuff. Like that's a given. And I say this as somebody who has been identified as being on the spectrum as well as like ADHD. Um, what then, like, I think so also autism, when you look at it on a brain scan, it looks like you have like brain damage, which is crazy because of how, intelligent and telepathic and all that kind of stuff that people who are autistic are. Um, it makes me wonder a little bit about the savant syndrome thing. Maybe instead of, because I feel like from what I've listened to about savant syndrome, it's almost like they've opened a channel and they're able to channel these like different energies, like the energy of creativity or the energy of like numbers or love or whatever. Um, why? Oh, okay. Sorry, I had it back up a little bit. So if they're channeling this stuff and they're able to like get all that stuff out, I guess that would mean that they still could be influenced by trauma, but it's almost like all the people you hear talk about it, it's like they become a different person by learning, right, like spontaneously all these new things, and people look at them as if they're I don't know, super special and stuff, but I guess they're still human. Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, that and we're a culture. We love to label things, and so
True.
we're like, we see a tree outside, and we're like, oh, we got to label that tree. It's like, why? It's a tree. In my opinion, it's like, what difference does it
Yeah.
make if it's oak, pine, evergreen, a grand oak, or an elm, or a Japanese maple? I'm like, it's a tree. It grows. It it looks nice. Okay, but then again, there are people who have connections to the trees and are like, okay, this tree is for this is for that. So when I'm seeing this is what's coming up. And I just thought of another aspect to, the savant with the not liking watermelon. It could be in a past life. Something happened, like he could have been like one of those, hypothetically, I don't know this person, but imagine, one of those people who's like, in those food contests, and the food of the day was watermelon, and he's eating, all this watermelon, and ended up passing away because he chokes on a seed or something.
Which would leave
Well,
him feeling drained
this
of energy.
lifetime, yeah, and so this lifetime, his body may be like, we're not eating this because we're not reliving this experience. And so what I'm saying is it could be a past life deal that's blocking him from being able to eat watermelon.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, you never know. Like you said, we don't know anything, but there's so many possibilities that it could
Right.
like that's super cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely
And
something to think about.
and I just want to, on that note, like I said before, I'm not an expert on like autism and all of that. So everything I share is my personal theory. based on my personal experiences. So
Mhm.
don't take, and do any action I say if you know anyone who's autistic or if you are autistic, and stop doing what's helping you because of what I said. I'm not an
Absolutely.
expert. So don't,
Yeah.
you know, stick with what works for you, because you know you better than anybody. And so that's the one thing I will say though, is if you're doing something that's working for you, keep doing it. No matter what
Mhm.
anybody else says. As long as you're doing it in a healthy way.
I agree fully. Yeah. Anyone who
And
wants to learn more about why I was saying that about that telepathy tapes, if you haven't listened to it, you need to listen to it. It is crazy. It's crazy.
and I gotta admit, you mentioned something and doing it the right way, and I was like, I don't know that I want to bring that up on my show, because I don't want to endorse something, but we kind of already are hitting around it, so we might as well bring it up if you want to. I know we're at an hour 45 minutes already,
Sure.
and time is flying by. If you want to address it, we can, or if you gotta go, we can go.
Yeah, what was it?
The psychedelics and how
Okay.
and why we should use them, because I'm kind of the school of the body doesn't need something to, tap into something, but then again, there are people who do need it. And so I'm like, yeah, if you do need it, I'd rather be able to say, oh, this person, says you should do it this way and knows more about it than I do. So here you go, and here's a resource, then not say it and be like, oh, whoops.
Yeah, I think so with psychedelics for me, like I I feel the same way as you. Like I can only talk about my personal experience really. And then what I've heard from other people and theirs. But for me, I feel like anytime I have needed to have my perspective like broadened or changed on anything, like I don't do psychedelics for fun. I don't use them to party. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna take a bunch of shrooms and go be around people. You know? So anytime I do a psychedelic these days, before I discovered what I don't know, I guess before I use them more as like medicine type thing, um, I would get benefits and things would be really cool, and I'd be like, "Oh, I realized this thing about myself or my situation from like a different perspective," and it was great. But getting more into the using them as medicine, I feel like it's good to know your body well enough to know like how to connect with it and your higher self and like all of that stuff, and that kind of stuff will show you when you need to use it, if you need to use it. Like it'll straight up it'll just start coming at you out of nowhere, like, oh, I'm seeing all this stuff about ayahuasca or mushrooms or whatever, like, and people keep bringing it up to me randomly. Like those are just for me like signs from the universe that if your intuition tells you, hey, pay attention to that, then you should. But I don't think that people should just be going around doing stuff like that in order to have a specific experience, because if you have expectations of it, you're not going to get what you expect. You don't get to make the rules on psychedelics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Authentic as in like naturally occurring, not like I don't believe in going to the a dispensary and getting, mushroom chocolates, because I don't think it's the same experience.
That's
So I
true.
don't know
And
if that's what you
well, I think authentic, she's saying, is like I say, natural, don't need like to take, like what is it in ayahuasca to connect to another conscious level is I just go to it, and so I've
Yes, and we can
but
do that.
yeah, but
Absolutely.
I've often wondered though if you have the ability to naturally tap in, and then you do a psychedelic that's to help you tap in, does it just nothing, or will it
It'll show you why you
connection
shouldn't do that.
be like
It's like, "Oh, you
overload
wanna go
connection?
all in? Let's go." It's crazy. I feel like that's, like, kind of its way to show you, like, it must be respected in the way that, like, yes, it's like a way opener, but it's not somewhere you need to stay if you've already learned that lesson of, like, how to tap into that energy.
Okay.
Yeah. I think for some people, it's really helpful in gaining, I guess, like, the confidence within yourself that you can go there and you can learn those things, but after a certain point when you've realized that, like, you don't need to keep revisiting, you know? 'Cause some people can't tap into it naturally or, like, they don't believe that they can, so they can't, you know? So I agree with
Well,
you.
so it sounds like it's more for like, again, I can only use mainstream terms that I know. So it's like a gateway deal. It's like opens the door and says, "Hey, here's what the realm looks like." And then it's like, now that you've been there, you can go there anytime. You don't need the aid anymore. It's like it pushes the door open, so to speak.
Absolutely. I also feel like too, like, if that's not the case for people, like, sometimes it can be, but I also feel like it's kinda like, okay, so imagine yourself as, a patient in a doctor's office, and the universe is the doctor. And whenever you're going through something, it kind of prescribes certain things, and it's like, I'm going to push that towards you, and you can take it. But like, if you go seeking it out on your own, it's probably not going to have the same effect as if the doctor gave it to you. You know what I mean?
That's true. And real quick, I want to address this since, we're talking about this and everything is what is your feelings about people who will say, yes, I'm doing, these psychedelics because it helps me escape what's happened to me. And so they're using it as like coping or an escape.
I think those people are probably going to have a bad time. Like, like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. Oh, also, okay, this is a perfect time to bring this up that I just found out. I thought it was really interesting. It's like scientifically like proven that if you decide to take like an adaptogen type thing, like adaptogens, well, sometimes they can correct things or whatever, but sometimes like if you take things that have that capability, they can actually make things worse. So whenever you take the fruiting body of a mushroom and you have all these things going on, depending on what type it is, it could actually make that worse. So if you are trying to escape your problems and you really want your problems to stop, what you have to realize is that through that experience, you need to realize what the problem is and grow while taking the fruiting body as well as the mycelium, because that will help to repair your brain, like your neural network, instead of just potentially amplifying the problem.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah, I thought that was
So
really interesting.
it is. And so well, I'm going to have to end it here and we'll have to get you back on to keep going and talk more.
Down.
But if people want to learn about like your art or Reiki or anything, or have questions for you about other stuff that we talked about, what's the best way that you want people to reach out to you?
I would say Instagram is probably the best way. I have an art page as well as I'm kind of flip flopping between being like, oh, be a business person and have like an Instagram specifically for your art or specifically for Reiki. That's too many things. Good night. Thank you. um, I have two Instagrams. One of them, sometimes I post oracle card readings, energy work, stuff like that. That's my personal. That is Instagram at Seraphina.Kachina, Kachina. And the other one for my art stuff is Seraphina Intuitive Arts. All lowercase, no spaces, no caps, whatever. So
You
that'd probably be
said
the best way.
Seraphina Intuitive Arts.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I just noticed that wasn't one of the links that you gave me, so I was putting it in the chat room for people, and I'll pop it up
Thank
on the
you.
screen. I got the one. I didn't get the other one, but
Yeah,
you
the
also gave me your LinkedIn, and so is that?
yes, yeah, LinkedIn as well. I just forget to check it because it's like a new app in my rotation. As you
Oh,
noticed,
I
I'm
know.
sure. I'm so sorry. I have problems with communicating through apps.
No, you're fine. I'm just glad it worked out because I was like realizing, oh my gosh, this is the only way I had to communicate, and I was like, oh, we're how what? Eh.
You're like, this lady isn't messaging me back, and I'm over here like, I forgot. Like, I'm so sorry. I'll do better next time.
Nah, you're fine, and I'm just reveling in the fact that this system lovingly just I had open your link and copied it and thought I copied it, and then when I went to paste it, it didn't copy, and so I was like, ah, I had already closed it, so now I gotta go grab it from another source. And it always is funny to me how tech will sit there and it looks like it's doing what it's supposed to do, and then you go to actually do it, and it's like, no, it didn't.
Like, mm-mm. Try again.
Like, shame on you, sir, for doing that. It's like, no, I don't take that. And
It's
but
like you
there,
thought you
there,
copied. Too
yep,
bad.
I thought I copied your LinkedIn so people could see it. The LinkedIn is in the bio, so if
Dope.
you're looking there. But so thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing with us your story and
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a great time and I'm super down to do it again. I will probably try to be more organized. So I'm gonna talk about all the things, but
Yeah,
like
organized,
I get off
organized.
on tangents. Well, it was
Oh
very
yeah,
nice
you
chatting
haven't
with
watched
you
my
on these
shows.
things.
I was like,
You
you haven't
know,
watched any of my episodes because I am infamous for going off on tangents. I'll be like, we'll be, but I had the knack of as much as I go off on tangent, the very end I will tie it all back in together, and so it's like I don't know if it's really called a tangent if I'm able to tie it in.
that's fair. I like that perspective.
But I welcome all kinds of tangents because I'm the type of personality, and Dana, she knows this about me because I've done shows with her, is I will be talking about something and then I'll go off on a tangent and then I'll be like, what were we talking about? And coming back to what I'm supposed to be talking about and find so much great information was shared in those tangents. And so I'm like, there's a reason we go there.
I love that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Dana's saying tangents are great. Me too. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yay!
So thank you. And please go check out her LinkedIn and her Instagram. And also, follow along on the shows because you never know which show and where Seraphina may be popping up next. And so, oh, I was like, I saw something like jump up and I realized, oh, you have a cat.
Yeah, she's my little buddy.
But so before I end this, I have a message for you, Seraphina.
What's up? Oh, tell
Oh,
me the message.
you like just cracked me up because I'm like, God, it's been a while since I've heard someone on like air go, "What's up?" It's like I
Hey.
started thinking about that commercial.
Oh, I know what you're
Oh,
talking about.
yeah, the
The
"What's
one,
up?"
the infamous, yes.
Yep. But okay, bringing it back in for the closure. Oh, I know. I love that we do this. It's like it doesn't really do anything, but it looks really cool.
Feels good.
Okay, for your message. Let me see if I can get through this.
Mhm.
From my heart and the heart of my shows to you, thank you for what you're doing for humanity. It's seen, felt, heard, and thank you for being you.
Oh my god. Yay, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it and I freaking will. I always will. You do the same. Thank you for what
Yeah,
you're doing
thank
as
you.
well. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And
Absolutely.
with that, we are officially going to actually say good night to everyone.
Good
And
night, buddy.
we will see you all in the next episode. And have a wonderful night, a wonderful evening, and a quick shout out for everyone who is a dad, whether to pets or to humans or hybrids, if you want to go there too. Happy Father's Day. We just had Father's Day on Sunday, so happy Father's Day, or as the dogs like to call it, Happy Paws Day. And so, everybody, and we will see you all in a couple of weeks for 4th of July. And so, wow, that July is already a couple of weeks away.
Hmm.
Or actually is next week, isn't it?
I
That's
think so.
crazy.
I know. It's happening fast.
It is. Either way, we will be back next week with shows. So see you all then. And with that, I am signing out. So good night, everyone.
See yas.